Hey guys, here's a downloadable order sheet that we created to help you write down your measurements and ensure you're getting all of the info that we need before inputting your order. So you can download it and print it, which is what I prefer, but if you don't have access to a printer, no big deal. You can just write this down on a sheet of paper and just make sure it has all of the same information. This sheet does not get submitted to us. It's simply a way to make your life more organized and make sure that all the information is there. So let's get started. Starting in the top left section of your kitchen cabinets, take a piece of tape or a sticky note along with a pen or a marker and place a label for each door inside the cabinet, starting with the number 1 and working from left to right. Do all of your upper cabinets first and then your lower cabinets, which will also label from left to right. There should be a number for every door. Just like your doors, start from left to right, starting with the number 1. Be sure to stick the label inside of the drawer box. If it's a non-functioning drawer, like under your sink, place the label inside the cabinet box. Now you're going to count up all your doors and label them on the sheet from 1 through however many you have. Here I had 15 doors. And then you're going to move over and do the same thing with the drawers. It's as simple as it sounds. Just count up the amount of hinges you have on your doors and write it down right here. Most doors have 2 hinges, but depending on the size of the door, you may have 3, 4, or even 5. Now it's time for the tape measure. Pick any cabinet with 1 door. Do not pick a cabinet with double doors that meet in the middle. We're going to measure the width of the door from the widest points and write that here. Next, we're going to measure the inside width of that door's cabinet box and write that number here. Do not overthink this step. All you need to do is measure the width and height of each door to their widest points and write those measurements next to the corresponding number on your form. If the door has hinges, be sure to mark off the hinge drilling option. All right guys, so everyone gets stressed out about measuring the doors. It's very simple. As long as you have enough room between your doors, which almost every kitchen does, the measurements aren't extremely important to get down to the most minuscule number. You can see right here that all of these doors look like the same height, and that's what we want to input them as. A lot of old doors were built by hand, so you're going to get different variations in the heights here, so I'll show you right here. So this door, for instance, is 26 and 15/16. This one is 26 and 7/8. This one is 27. So I'm just going to go with 27 so that when I reinstall this, it looks really nice and uniform. I don't have to get that nitpicky with it. Just keep them as standard as you can, as long as you have enough room between each cabinet, which most cabinets do. Now, following the same technique we used to measure the doors, we're going to measure the width and height of each drawer and input them into the corresponding drawer number on your form. And be sure to add all drawer fronts, including non-functional fronts. All right guys, so just like the doors, drawers are no different. Especially along the top row here, almost every drawer should be the same height, but again, because they're made by hand, they might be a little bit off. So right here, we have 4.5, 4 and 9/16. Just keep them at 4.5. You want it to all look nice and clean as you're going across there, and that's the simplest way to go about it. But what I do recommend is that any drawer that is on top of a door, like we have here, whether it's a false drawer or a real drawer, I like to use this measurement. So I'm going to use door number 5 and make sure that my drawer is the same width as that. Because you don't want to put a drawer in here that, again, maybe you measured it and it's a little bit different. You want it to all look lined up and equal with each other. So again, just make sure that whatever drawer that is on top of a door, use the door's width measurement just to make sure that your drawer matches up with that, and keep the heights all the same uniformly if they're around that same number. Obviously right here, we have a drawer bank. You're gonna have different measurements here than the top of your drawers. But the most important thing here, obviously we wanna keep this height the same as that, but these are gonna change because they're different size drawers. But what we do wanna make sure is that we keep the same width, so that when they're all lined up, that you have a nice straight looking run, just like how we're doing with the doors here. So whatever this drawer width is, so we have this at 12.5, all of these are going to be 12 and a half. So again, when we install, they all look nice and straight. And that's it. So if you have a Lazy Susan, choose which one looks the most like yours from our top view pictures that we have. And then you're going to measure the width of A and B, which is both doors, and then also enter in the height. Now there's a few different options. Sometimes the measurements are both the same for each door and sometimes they're different. So just double check and input them just like you were any other door and circle which one looks like yours.